start for Trice. That's Chase, and what a start for Cincinnati. And he has the football. Puts a move on. Bijan Robinson, he's got a hand. His first NFL touchdown. Gibbs out of the backfield right away. Oh, yeah, there's no question that he was grabbed. They got Gibbs one-on-one with Andrew Van Ginkel in space, and that was it. And this is, again, it's man-to-man. It's one-on-one, and he's underneath. He loses his balance. Brock Bowers is one of those guys that has a – and this is –
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Fatboyz Dynasty podcast presented by the FantasyHolics Podcast Network. I'm Bo. That is Brant. As you can see, we got the new video up this week, Brant. That if that doesn't get your juices flowing for an episode of fantasy football, I'm not really sure what will. And really, the last tagline of that video sums it all up, Brant. I'm ready to eat.
Let's eat. I'm super excited. The draft is 2 weeks away. We're in the draft month. It's time to really get our gears going, our juices flowing, and finding that perfect beverage for draft nights coming up, and lots of football coming up. I'm getting excited. I'm getting pumped up. I know it's right around the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. It is right around the corner. And for a lot of us degenerates in the fantasy football world, more specifically the dynasty, community, Brant, a lot of us start drafting right after the NFL draft takes place. Obviously, in our home league where we have a bunch of guys that we're really good buddies with, we kind of wait till, a couple weeks before the season starts. It's kind of a, hey, let's all get together, an excuse to get together, drink beer, eat some food, and for a couple of the dumber ones to wrestle each other. But for a lot of folks, it's, hey, let's rip it off. We've been 3-4 months without anything to get excited about. Let's start drafting. And, here at the FantasyHolics page, you and I are both in several dynasty landscapes through the FantasyHolics pages. And we're going to be drafting probably within a week or two of the NFL draft concluding, Brant. So today's show, we thought, what better way to get ready for the NFL draft than let's talk about where the current value of these first-round picks lies, Brant. Whether you want to trade that first-round pick via draft day or ahead of time, you're looking to get the most value for whatever that pick is, whether it's the player that's going to be on the board at that time or the trade you can make happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Trades are always fun, and they start to happen fast and rapid right about now, where some guys don't like the draft class, so they're ready to trade off. Some guys are in love with it, and they're ready to overpay for some. So absolutely, now is the best time to start looking to move some trades, especially if there's some players that you really like. You got to get that pick early because if the landing spot is perfect, it's going to be really hard to get that pick later.
Yeah, and you're referring to that, what's so affectionately known as the CEH syndrome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Players skyrockets up boards, ADPs, because he goes earlier than expected to a better team than expected, and then you end up duped holding a bag of turds, so to speak. And other players got some guys of value. So, Brant, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of talk about, picks 1 through 12 in the NFL draft. We're going to go through a favorite site of yours and mine that we started playing with a little bit last year called Dynasty Daddy. You can import your leagues from Sleeper, Yahoo, ESPN, all the places in there, and it'll tell you trade calculators, whatnot. And it's also got this really awesome feature called the Trade Database. You can see what trades have been completed using certain players that you're interested in. So you can kind of see the going rate of players, the going rate of picks, things of that nature. Definitely a fun site. But we are going to start at pick 112. Obviously, it's important to talk about the most recent kind of ADPs. So I pulled those off a sleeper for you degenerates that are drafting rookies prior to the NFL draft actually taking place. There is ADPs established already for these rookies. So I'm going to talk about it in a non-superflex format. Obviously, Brant, the 12 names that I'm going to discuss would change a little bit if you add Shadur, Sanders, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe into the mix. So you could really go, 16 players that have some decent value here. We're going to start at the 112, Brant. And for context, I got to let you know it's Colston Lovelace, the tight end out of Michigan, is the player currently going in a standard PPR league, one quarterback start, no tight end premium. So that's kind of the pick you're looking at here is the 112 or Mr. Loveland out of Michigan. So right off the rip here, Brant, this trade happened today, the 112 for Chris Godwin straight up. Which side of that trade would you rather be on?
I'm taking Godwin. If I'm at the 112, I'm probably coming off a good playoff run, if not a fantasy championship, as I'm picking last. I'm going to take Godwin because that guy he's sitting there still in Tampa Bay with Baker. The sky's really the ceiling for him. We always see him take the top off. I'm not a huge believer in the tight end class this year. The Warren is probably the one guy that I am in love with, and probably the only one that I really have in that first round value. So I think I'm going to take Chris Godwin over Lovelace and the 112.
Okay. So again, 112, which is right now Loveland or TJ Hawkinson. Which one would you rather have?
Man, that is tough. TJ was a little underperformer last year. I know he was hurt. I think right now, if we were to do it right now, I think I would take Hawkinson. Okay. I know his situation, so I think that's why.
Okay, here's my last one. I'm going to throw at you with this one, and then we're going to move on to the next pick. Chase Brown or the 112?
Is Chase Brown still the only back in Cincy?
He was pretty damn good last year. I'm not sure it matters who else is there.
Yeah, I don't think they added anyone. I think I'm going to take Chase Brown. I still think he has the RB2 upside. And like I said, you're already a contender. Most likely, you're already a contender. So I'm going to take I'm going to try to go for back-to-back. So I think I'm going to take in all three of these. I think I'm going to take the player over the pick.
Okay. All right. So again, when you talk about the 112, Brant, you unless your league's got some weird settings, you probably are the champion, like you talked about, unless that pick's already been traded, of course, which does make things different. But if you are the champion, repeating is a little sweeter than reloading. So yeah, if you're getting an established player that you already know the role in that offense, it's kind of intriguing to just punt on the unknown of this rookie class and take a proven commodity.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of where I'm going to go with as you bring these up. Excuse me. I'm going to go with as the picks are owned by whatever team finished in that spot. So that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go, not even going to talk about being traded to other teams right now.
Okay, so here it is, the 111. This one is tough for me because I feel like this is way low on ADP. I'm sure you will agree. This has got Caleb Johnson as the pick if you were to stay and stand pat here. Okay, so first one, the 111 or Josh Jacobs. So Caleb Johnson or Josh Jacobs.
So I finished runner-up, so odds are my running back room is probably pretty legit as I finish runner-up. So I am going to take Caleb here. I'm going to keep my pick, and I'm going to take the rookie running back over Josh Jacobs here.
Okay. All right. Let me see. I'm trying to find another good one that I like here. Okay. This one's a little more in depth. So you're trading the 111 and Chris Olave for Marvin Harrison. Which side of that one do you prefer?
I'm trading away the 111, so I'm trading away Caleb Johnson and
Chris Olave
for Marvin Harrison. I think I'm going to keep my 111 and Chris Olave.
Okay. Last one. I got to tickle your fancy here. Pick 111 again, Caleb Johnson or Ray Davis and Brandon Ayuk.
Ray Davis is still in Buffalo as the backup. I'm going to take Caleb Johnson.
Okay. And again, your team at the 111, you're in a good spot, right? So
yeah.
Adding a guy like Caleb Johnson, you could probably be patient on him if that's what you so choose to do. So definitely not a bad spot to be in there either.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The 110, moving up to it. This is one of the guys you like a little better than I do, Matthew Golden, Mr. Speedster himself. So I'm trying to find kind of one for ones. Here's a really good one. Matthew Golden and the 110 or the 110, however you need to say it, for Rashee Rice straight up. Which side of that would you rather have?
Give me Rashee Rice. Proven with the best quarterback in the NFL. I know he's coming off injury, but give me Rashee Rice.
Okay. Stay right there in Kansas City. Xavier Worthy or the 110. So Matthew Golden, speed versus speed.
So do I take the speedster of last year? Do I take the speedster of this year? I think I'm going to take Xavier Worthy on this just because when Rice does come back, I think that could open up some more lanes for him, some more deep balls. So I think I'm going to take Xavier Worthy here.
Okay. All right. Last one I got for you on the 110, Brant, then we'll move in. The 110 or Kyron Williams. Which would you rather have there?
Ooh. Man, Kyron is such a workhorse. I think I'm going to take Kyron on that one. I think I'm going to take Williams on that one.
Okay. Again, I'm not sold on Matthew Golden, so I think if we could switch 10 and 11 here and make 10 Caleb Johnson at the pick, I think I'd take that over Kyron. Again, landing spot's going to be huge for these guys, right? But I will say I'm the first one to admit I probably have been a little lower on Kyron Williams versus where I should be. So maybe that's, a more of a emphasis on who I am as a human being versus who Kyron Williams is. So again, now we're kind of starting to get into that middle range where you need some things to go right via the draft or trades or players on your roster stepping up. Maybe you had some injuries last year and that's what kept you out of it. But you're at the 109, you're outside of the money in leagues most times. So you're got a little more of an itch, a little more of an edge to you coming in. The 109 currently, Brant, is Travis Hunter. Again, we don't necessarily know how that's going to go, but for the purposes of this, we're going to assume Travis Hunter is going to play a decent amount of wide receiver. Okay. Let me see here. Trying to find. Okay, 109 or the new running back of the Los Angeles Chargers, Najee Harris.
Man, I love this landing spot for Najee. So this one's actually really tough. I think I'm going to go with Najee and I am still going, even though he is the 109, I'm still going with the fact that he's going to try to play both sides of the ball. So I think I'm going to go with Najee.
Okay. Again, 109 / Travis Hunter or Trey Benson and pick 205. So you're moving back about 7 spots, plus you get Trey Benson as a sweetener.
I think I'm going to take the Trey Benson.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got some faith in him to supplant?
Connor's getting older. Injury history's there. So I do like Trey Benson in the long run. So I do think that he's going to take over a little bit. He has to stay healthy. I know he was banged up quite a bit last year as well. But I do think eventually he's going to take over some of that work.
Okay. This one might solidify your thought process on the 112 versus Chase Brown. Pick 109 and Travis Hunter or Chase Brown, Brant.
So I get Chase Brown or Travis Hunter.
Yeah, not both. You can't have both. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
I want them both. I'm going to go with Chase Brown. Running backs are so hard to get, and he was so good last year. So I think I'm going to go with Chase Brown.
And again, let's not sleep on the fact that the Bengals offense they brought back both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. They're going to be a high-powered offense again, which should mean red zone work for Chase Brown, Brant. So, all right, let's talk about the 108. This is where things start to get interesting for me because I feel like in this year's draft class, we're starting to get into the peak of guys that can help my team year one. Okay. So pick 108 currently by Sleeper ADP is Luther Burden Jr. out of the University of Mizzou. You already know my infatuation with him. So I'm going to try to stay out of this one a little bit. Let me try to see if I can't find a 1-for-1 to start this off, because that's okay. Here we go. A guy I've got infatuation with versus a guy you used to. You pick 108, Luther Burden or DK Metcalf.
Give me Luther Burden. You have no quarterback. You're now with George Pickens. I'm not even sure who the running back's going to be. I know Warren's still in town. Give me the rookie.
Okay, I'm gonna stay picking on your Seahawks. This one, a current one, Luther Burden or Kenneth Walker. So the 108, Luther Burden or Kenneth Walker.
I'm taking Luther Burden. I think that's going to be a ugly backfield for fantasy this year. I think that they're going to try to work Kenny McIntosh in a little bit, and I really think it's going to be 60-30-10. It's going to be an ugly backfield to look at this year. Kenneth has those explosive ability to, score off a 40-yard run and pretty much make a good fantasy week for him in 1 or 2 plays. I think I'm going to go with Luther Burden.
Okay. All right. Last one I got for you at the 108, Brant. Again, 108, 2 spots out of money, 5th place finish. So you were in the playoffs, need something to push you over the top. Luther Burden in the 108 or Christian McCaffrey.
Man, I just finished out of the money. This could put me over the top. Man.
First of all, does Christian McCaffrey bounce back, Grant? I mean, you got to be a believer in the Christian McCaffrey bounce back if you think there's a chance that you take this trade.
I think I take CMC. I do. I think his bounce back, even if I get it, his bounce back, if it shows up, I got a gold mine for at least another year or 2. If not, then hopefully he can put a string of games together that I can move him again. But I think I'm going to take CMC.
I was going to say, I think that's exactly right, Brent. I think a trade for CMC is kind of a hedge on your bet, because even if he doesn't play, you're going to be able to recoup some back. Somebody will take a chance on him. We kind of saw that with Cooper Kupp a little bit last year, with dealing with his injuries and whatnot. So I think that is a situation that you almost have to take CMC. So I like that for you. All right, moving on to the 107. This is one of the last teams that made the playoffs in 12-team formats. This currently is Quinshon Judkins out of Ohio State, Brant. So I'm going to start you off. Quinshon Judkins or Cooper Kupp, the 206 and a 5th round pick in next year's draft.
I think I'm going to take Judkins here. I'm going to take the running back, Cooper Kupp. It scares me there in Seattle. Obviously, for me as a fan, I hope it works out, but that scares me. So I think I'm going to take Judkins.
Okay. Judkins in the 107 or Jordan Addison straight up?
Give me Judkins again. Running backs are hard to come by. Addison will be playing second fiddle for only Lord knows how long. You're not even sure who's going to quarterback that team. Everyone assumes it's JJ, but is he going to be fully healthy? We really haven't seen a healthy dose of him passing. So I'm going to go with Judkins.
Okay. All right. This is the first pick where you're really kind of split here. Again, 107 or Judkins for Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. So you get both.
This one's almost landing spot dependent for me. So right now, with not knowing the landing spot, I'm going to take Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, because I know one of those, if one goes down, the other's guaranteed to be a horse.
Okay.
Maybe in an 80-20 split.
Let me devil's advocate for you and say Quinshon Judkins somehow ends up as a New York Giant.
I think I go with Judkins.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I can't let you off the hook too easy here. I got to make you pick. So again, I think, Brant, you're sitting in a spot where it's a delicate act, right? Because really most people look at the fantasy draft and they say, hey, if I don't have a top 3 pick, I'm kind of getting crumbs, right? So if you can control your own destiny and you can say, I want, player X instead, then it's got to be somebody you end up believing in order for that to make sense. But if you get like that Walker situation, I agree with you. I think you obviously have a pulse on that better than most. But I do think that's one of the situations. If I was trading for Kenneth Walker, I'd have to pony up a little extra on my part to make sure I got Charbonnet too, just because, like you said, that does add a little clarity to it if one gets hurt. So, all right, moving on to the 106. This is the last tight end in our rankings right now. This does have Tyler Warren at it from Penn State, Brant. So keep that in your brain here. So I'm going to start you off with no players involved in this one. Okay, so you have the 106. You move back one spot to the 107. You gain a 3rd round draft pick in next year's draft and a 4th round pick in 2027. Do you move one spot back, let your competition take Warren, or do you stand pat?
I'm taking Warren. I'm not going a spot back. Odds are they're coming up to take my guy. And I'm not going to move one spot back for dart throws there, especially when tight end is probably one of the situations that hurt me and kept me out of the playoffs. So I'm going to go with Tyler Warren.
Okay. 106 or Devon Achane?
I'm going with Achane. Mostert's out. I'm going with Achane.
Okay. All right. Let me see. Let me try to find like one more here for you to consider. How about, whatever. We'll do another one that's just draft picks only. All right. How about you give up the 106, you fall all the way back to the 203 this year, but you get a first in next year's draft class?
That's tough.
To me, that's almost saying as the 106, you're saying, hey, I don't think my team's good enough to compete for the championship this year, so I'm going to go for it in 2026 with these firsts.
Yeah, and odds are. So you're giving me the 203, so that was the 3rd place or the bottom 3rd team. So you're probably going to get roughly the 106 to the 108 next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think I take that. I think I take next year's first and the 203.
Okay.
Team. Now, if it's somebody random that's already in championship contention and it's going to be like the 112 next year, I don't think I would take it.
Okay, fair enough. All right, moving on to the 105. This does have the wide receiver out of Ohio State in Igbuka, excuse me. So, Brant, would you rather have Igbuka at the 105 or Jalen Waddle and a 2026 second-round pick?
I think I'm going to take Waddle in the 2nd round.
Okay. All right. How about 105, Igbuka or James Cook?
I think I'm going with James Cook here. Running backs are hard to come by, and he proved that he can do everything on the field. So I think I'm going to go with James Cook.
All right. And the last one I got for you on this one, the 105, Igbuka or Rome Odunze?
My heart tells me Rome, but my fantasy tells me Igbuka. Igbuka.
So you think Ibuka's got a chance to be more impactful year 1 than Odunze does in year 2?
Yeah, I do. I like the line upgrade, everything else, but DJ Moore is still the number 1 target there. I think Keenan Allen's still in town for right now. I'm not sure if he's a free agent or not.
He is.
So, yeah, DJ Moore's still the one there, so I think I'm going to go with Ibuka.
All right, fair enough. Moving on to the 104, this currently does project to be Trayvon Henderson as things stand today. So Trayvon Henderson's who you're comparing against these other trades. I got to bring it up because I saw it twice already and just scrolling through this for a second, Brant. Would you rather have Trayvon Henderson or Kyron Williams at the 104?
Kyron. Give me Henderson. Give me the rebuild. I'm in the 4th. I was out of the playoffs. Let me get the rookie running back.
Okay, fair enough. Again, I think I'd probably go Henderson here and take the youth myself, but definitely something that is worth worth discussing. All right, this one, I feel like this is the type of league I want to get myself into. I think this one's a no-brainer. Maybe I'm a little excited about it, and I shouldn't be. Pick 104, Travion Henderson or Malik Neighbors.
I'm going with Malik.
Even catching passes from Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Malik.
Okay.
He's solidified. He's going to be the number one guy there for years to come. They're going to probably end up paying him. I like Malik Neighbors. They're going to eventually have to hopefully get a quarterback. That is the future. I'm going to go with Malik here.
Okay. All right. Let me see if I can find you one more. Doesn't look like in the recent days that the 105 has been, or 104, excuse me, has been traded straight up very often. Oh, here you go. Superflex ball cap on for just a split second, Brant. So you trade the 104, which in a Superflex format, you're probably actually talking about either McMillan, Hampton, Genty, Cam Ward, Shadur Sanders, Jackson Dart. So keep that in mind. Okay. Pick 104 and one of those guys for Patrick Mahomes, the 205 and the 308.
I'm taking Patrick Mahomes.
That's interesting. Can you? I got to have you elaborate on this one for me.
That's the best offense. You know, it runs through him. He's going to put up the yards. I know his fantasy points weren't great, but you're almost guaranteed 20 points every week out of him. I know last year was a struggle. He's going to get Rice back. That offense is around him for years and years to come. I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes. In a super flex, I have to. That's going to solidify. Odds are, without me moving a quarterback, there's a good chance I already have a QB1 that was decent. So he's going to go down to 2. Mahomes will move to the 1, and you're telling me I could possibly have 2 top 12 quarterbacks. I'm going to take that. I'm not a Sanders believer. I think that would be too high for Dart. So that's why I don't think I would pull a quarterback there.
Okay. All right. So moving on to the 103. This is where things really start getting interesting. This is Tet McMillan currently in single quarterback leagues. So, again, 103, you were abysmal. Weren't the worst team. You got a couple wins. Maybe things didn't go in your favor. You wanted to be that 101, but you ended up the 103. So, started off with I know which side I'd want to be on this if I was sitting in the 103 spot, but maybe you're a little ambitious of an owner here. But the 103 and Tet McMillan or Derrick Henry, Brant?
I'm taking Tet. I got to go youth. I got to get my team ready for the future. I was horrible last year. Maybe injury bugs kill me, but I'm going to take the youth. I'm going to take Tet.
Okay. All right. So, again, pick 103, Tet McMillan. You're a bottom feeder on the league. Do you trade that back to move to the 108 and also add the 203? So you get 2 picks inside the top 24 instead of just that, or 3 picks probably inside that top 24 because you're obviously going to have a second-round pick as well. But would you rather take extra assets and move back?
Who was the 108?
108 figures to be Luther Burden.
I'm going to take if I think I can get Luther Burden and what'd you say, a second-round pick, I think I'm going to move back.
Okay. All right. Last one I'm going to hit you with here for the 103, Tet McMillan and the 103 or Kenneth Walker and Chris Olave.
I'm going with Tet.
Okay. So Tet over 2 starters. You could get 2 starters there. Granted, neither one of them are super elite. Tet could be elite, right?
Yeah.
But you do get 2 starters.
I'm going to go with Tet. I'm going to take the youth. I'm going to keep my pick. I'm going to hopefully be able to solidify something in the second round. I may be a bottom feeder for one more year, but I do think that Tet is going to be an elite guy.
Okay. All right. Moving on to the 102, Brant, which this does factor out to be Omarion Hampton. Currently by sleeper. You and I obviously are a little lower on him, but go ahead and frame yourself in the mind of somebody who loves Hampton here for the purposes of this. So Omarion Hampton and the pick 102. Or Deebo Samuel, pick 105 and pick 204.
I really was not a fan of Deebo going to Washington.
I will say Deebo Samuel is not the focal point of this offer. If you look at Deebo as the focal point, I want to reject it too. But again, 105, you get Ibuka. right? And you also get the 204. So you're getting 3 assets, Deebo Samuel's the kick in for Omari and Hampton.
And I'd still have the 202. I think I would take that.
202.
I think I'd move back 3 spots for him.
Yeah, again, asset acquiring is a good thing when you're a bottom feeding team. Sometimes that's worth it, right? All right, let's see another pick. Okay, here you go. Pick 102 or Omari and Hampton, or Kenneth Walker and the 110. So also Kenneth Walker and Matthew Golden is kind of where that factors out. Or Caleb Johnson or Colston Loveland, whichever one however you'd want to package that there.
I think I would take it if I'm able to get Caleb Johnson that late. I think I'm going to take Johnson and Kenneth and double down on the running backs there.
Okay, and I agree. I think if you can get 2 running backs that you can plug in and potentially play, I know at the number 2 spot it's tempting to take Hampton there, but I think when you're talking about finishing at pick 2, it's really, really, really hard not to just try to acquire assets. A lot of them get to be really big. Okay, here you go. Another no-brainer, I think. Maybe it's not as close as I say it is because of the team value around the 102 probably. So, again, you're probably a bad team. But pick 102, Hampton, or Christian McCaffrey, pick 203 and pick 304.
I'm taking Hampton. I'm taking the youth. I got to rebuild. I can't expect CMC to carry me to a title. So I'm going to go with the youth and try to rebuild.
I agree. All right, Brant, the much anticipated 101, aka RJ Harvey. Ashton Genty. I think this one would be a tough spot to be in because, right, if you finish last place, there's going to be some offers coming your way for the 101. We've seen it in some of our leagues. It happens all the time. You get people that try to pry that out of your hands, right? So
sometimes the champion gets the 101.
I got the 101 was given to that champion prior to him becoming champion. All right. So again, these are some big trades. So I'm going to go through, maybe pick a couple extra one here. But right off the bat, I'm going to start with this one. So you're trading the 101 and Ashton Genty, I should say, and Chigo Okonkwo for Sam Laporta and the 103. So you move back 2 spots. You miss out on Genty, but you upgrade your tight end by a lot. And Laporta is still young, bear in mind.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Laporta in the 103. I'm going to go with Laporta in the 103 and hope Hampton falls to the 103. That way I still get a running back out of this.
Okay. All right, here you go, Brant. You're trading Ashton Genty, but you have to add on a little kicker in Jalen Coker. So Ashton Genty and Coker or Bijan Robinson.
I'm taking Bijan. I do think Genty is the best back in this. This back class is not the greatest, and I think Bijan is head and shoulders above Genty, so I'm going to take Bijan.
And we already know what Bijan's role is, right? Like it's defined. We already know. All right. Last one I got for you here. I think I could go on and on for a couple more because there's some really interesting ones. I'll do 2 more just because I want to get your pulse on this last one. So first one, the 101 Ashton Genty or the 103. So again, moving back 2 spots, and Breeze Hall.
I really don't know how I feel about Breeze with the Jets right now. A whole revamp of the offense, whole revamp of the coaching staff. I think I'm going to take Breeze in the 103, though, because I think Tet and Breeze would be a good starting point for a good rebuild.
Yes, it would. All right, last one I got for you, just because I think this one is really juicy. You get Ashton Genty or the 101, or Jackson Smith and Jigba, a 2026 first-round pick and a 2027 first-round pick. So, again, it's almost that punting on being competitive in year 1. Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to help. He's probably going to fill a hole in that lineup, right? But not a running back. But you do get 2 dart throws in the next 2 drafts to either trade for established players or simply, have those picks in a couple of years, Brant.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the JSN side of this because obviously you're probably not competing right off the rip, even if you do add Genty, unless Genty comes out and he's the next second coming of CMC, averaging 35 points per game. So I think I'm going to take JSN, who should be the number one, solidified. DK's gone, Lockett's gone, JSN's the guy. Obviously, he's going to know the offense and the coaches. So, yeah, I think I'm going to take the JSN side.
All right. Well, that runs us through the top 12 picks, Brant. Kind of gives you a pulse of where, the fantasy community's at on these picks. And honestly, it kind of intrigues me to go out and send some offers, see if I can't get some of these same pieces to help myself. But, again, we're getting close to the draft, Brant, so everything's draft prep at this point. We did talk about it before show. We're going to talk about next week one of the most recent mock drafts that have been completed by, a CBS and ESPN. We'll pick one and go with it next week and just kind of talk about landing spots where people have these guys going for fantasy and what we like and what we don't like.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about if we like that spot, if they're going to move up or down our boards. We'll add if we think that maybe this pick is going to be wrong. Maybe they're going to take somebody else in our mind. It's going to be fun to dissect a mock draft right before the actual draft. And then don't forget, the Fatboyz are going to be live on draft day on YouTube. Join us, join our special guests, join us while we shove our faces full of some food and some beverages and enjoy the draft with us. It's always a good time. It gives you a little more insight. You also get to exchange some words with the Fatboyz. You can call us any name you want. We won't have our feelings hurt if you don't like our take or anything else. So join us live on the NFL Draft Day.
Yep, I think that wraps it up for this week's episode, guys.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining in. And as always, stay hungry.
Stay fat, my friends.